There comes a time when we have to stop negotiating with ourselves. We have to start embracing those irreversible shifts that lead to the most unapologetic, raw expressions of ourselves. This is Sexy Rebel Spirit, the private podcast by House of Andrea that drops live every single day into our exclusive Telegram space. If you're not in that space and you want to join the conversation, you'll find the link to it in the show notes. It's sexuality, it's rebellion, it's spirituality, and how these three things are simply the expression of who you are. This is your calibration portal, and this is where it all gets to change. So let's dive in. Hello, gorgeous. The brand new piece for today has just dropped, and I want to come in and give you a little bit of a behind the scenes glimpse into that. I was really thinking about it today. I was listening to a podcast episode which really called me out on where I am potentially still hiding. And I think this is so applicable for all of us because sometimes we move through life operating in a certain way, showing up in a certain way, and we're not necessarily aware of where we're holding ourselves back. And so I was going for my walk this morning listening to this podcast episode, and I might actually link it in the comments below because it was a really powerful listen from a friend of mine who runs the Rebel Matriarch podcast, and this was her vulnerable expression of what's alive and true in her field at the moment, which is all about stepping forward to be willing to change what we're doing, how we're showing up to lead a new paradigm in the matriarchal society. And while there were some things that I agreed with and some things I didn't agree with, which is totally fine because we are all sovereign humans with different experiences and different opinions, the power that was in this episode really made me just sit back for a moment and reflect on where am I not really owning the energy of everything that I am here to be. And I was reflecting on this sexy rebel spirit movement, this revolution, this energy that's really stepping forward and is calling us all into at the moment. And I thought, I've been talking a lot in the art and in some of these pieces here, and even the transmissions that I've been opening to come through. We've been talking a lot about sovereignty, about rebellion, about owning self, about shame, and spirituality, but we hadn't yet tapped into that energy of the sexy. And there's, I believe, a very strong reason why the three were given to me. This sexy for self energy, this sexiness for you and no one else but you, and this unique, powerful expression of your life force in the unique way that is you, but claiming, if you feel it, that you get to be it. You get to feel that life force energy coursing through you as that kind of energy of I am here, I am present, I'm in my bones, I'm in my body, and I'm moving through my life fully expressed for me. I want this feeling for me. I want to allow the deliciousness, the desire of life to find me so that I can really ground into this life, ground into being a soul in a human body at this time, and live that. Live the intricate detail of that. And so many of us are told that sexiness is dangerous. For many of us that have had sexual abuse, sexual assault, or even just unwanted attention in those moments where we have felt really good and really empowered in our bodies, there's that slow stripping back that happens to kind of put sexiness on the shelf or categorize it with dangerous, taboo, inappropriate. And society's always wanted to control women as well, to contain that powerful life force energy into telling what we, should do, can't do, should show up as, to make it more palatable and I guess vanilla tends to be easier to control. So there's all of this old conditioning stuff, compounded if we've had any untoward attention or experiences that have really hurt us, broken us, made us feel that this type of expression is dangerous. With the third piece, which is where someone or a woman or a man is fully self-expressed in their sexiness, in their power, in their deliciousness, in their life force energy, because really sexiness, sexuality, it's just an expression of this innate, powerful life force energy that it exists within us. And when we are expressing that, society can then say promiscuous, whoring around. There is that all that different language, that human vernacular that gets applied to that kind of behavior to kind of shame it. And in doing so, to shut it down. Because we don't shame people just for the fun of it. We shame people for a change in behavior. We shame people for a shutdown or to get them to stop doing what they're doing. We use shame as a weapon. And so this vernacular got weaponized around sexuality, around sexual expression, around someone feeling in their body and feeling sexy. We shamed it and combined that with, well, this is how you're going to feel if you do it. It's dangerous and it's taboo. And so it's kind of one of those categories that entrepreneurs, people, humans, we don't necessarily show up and talk about because of the stigma I just talked about that's attached to it. And so when I was listening to this podcast today, like I really felt called out because I'm so comfortable talking about spirituality. I can talk till the cows come home about tapping into your gifts, stepping forward as a medium and a psychic and a shaman and all the things. Like there was a lot of work that had to be done to be able to own those titles, but now they just feel like everyday language to me. So really happy to own it and talk about spirituality and all its concepts. Same with rebellion. I had to walk the walk to really own my sovereignty and my voice and my willingness to just express myself and my life in the way that feels delicious to me. But I was kind of dropping the ball a little bit on talking about this sexiness, this getting really vocal about it. And even like the algorithm wants to censor it too. It doesn't like words like sex, sexuality, sexual, like anything like that is, a trigger word on the algorithm and it will distill your reach. But I was thinking today, like, I want this ability for us to talk about and own this expression of life force in whatever way that means for us. If that is expressed as sexiness, as deliciousness, as like, I feel really good and I just want to experience everything that there is here to experience a body at this time, like I want to talk about it. And so when I sat down to create art today with this feeling of like, you're still not saying what needs to be said publicly, or you're just not owning it and claiming it and bringing these kinds of conversations to the general conversation so that people can self-select and decide whether they're ready to go full in and crack this open for themselves in self-expression, expression of their life force, or they can self-select and say, this is too triggering for me right now. This is not something that I'm willing to go and do. But by not talking about it, I wasn't giving people that opportunity, to feel the frequency of the sexy rebel spirit, this massive movement that I think is really important for us all as humans to start breaking down the barriers to accessing so that we can change the world through our story, through our message, through that expression of that life force in our work and in our day-to-day, in our families, as parents, as leaders. If I'm not willing to have the conversation, like I'm only kind of delivering on 2 of this 3 really important structure. And so I was like, okay, all right, I feel called out. I feel like I'm still pulling my punches a little bit. So I sat down today and went through some of the photography that I had, the images that I had, and was like, there's this message sitting in the ether for us all around starting to put words to this sexual energy, to this deliciousness that we are all craving to feel. Because I don't know about you, but some days I just feel like not plain Jane as in plain looking, but plain Jane in terms of life being so vanilla, because I haven't been brave enough until now to really start extracting all of that powerful frequency that exists in that vein. And so I sat down and just asked spirits, like, what are the words that need to come through today? What is the message that people need to see today in this field? And what came through very quickly was feeling sexy isn't just about sex. It's not about feeling and being sexy to attract a sexual partner, to act or perform the act of sex. Sexiness is not just that. Like, that is one of the tiniest components. You make yourself feel sexy because you want to have sex or because you want someone to have sex with you in that beautiful energy exchange. Amazing. But like the tiniest piece of the puzzle. Sexiness is not just about sex. It is about expression. It's about allowing yourself the permission to let that life force energy come out. Dress how it wants to dress, the way that is unique to you, the way that is powerful to you. And to not let, this is one of the last images, to not let anybody shame you for it. Because as I said, us as a society are so good at shaming people when we want them to stop doing something that either isn't in service of us or makes us feel guilty, makes us feel bad, makes us feel a certain way that we don't want to feel. And so we shame them. And so this energy, these words came through today for this piece around don't let anybody shame you for embracing and expressing your life force through the sexy energy. And it felt really good to create. And I put it out there, and of course the algorithm, like, I don't think it loves it, because I wrote a really powerful post underneath about, like, it's time we get to claim this stuff. And normally I put the little asterisks on the E for the word sexy, and I thought, I'm just not going to do that, because by using the asterisks, I'm censoring the very thing that I am calling the world to stop censor. So I didn't for this post. And whether I use the little asterisks again in the future, because it's really important for this message to reach people. And so I am going to have to concede to playing the game on social media in that way, potentially, for the benefit of the masses. But for this particular post and this art, I wanted the words to just be there in their rawest, truest form, because I didn't want to censor their expression. And it felt really good. It felt like I had that moment of like being called out and being like, right, okay, all right, yep, you're right. I've been kind of holding back on that particular leg of the tripod. So here it is. Spirit, give me the words. Let it move through me. And it felt really, really, really good. So I am going to start bringing all three of the energies into this space equally, so that, because they're not separate, they're not separate. So I'm going to keep bringing them in so that we can start really calibrating to all three pieces, because sexy is the life force expression. Rebellion is your life force expression around what you want to stand for and what you don't want to stand for. And spirituality is life force expression as well, because you're made of source. And spirituality is you just connecting with that source, communicating with that source, letting that move through you, and serving others through how that energy moves. Again, life force, because life force is source. They're not separate. I want to keep bringing them in here in the three powerfully, because we need to be able to move and work with all three pieces embodied to really step forward in the way that we are being called to. Like, the world needs us in that fullest expression. And these three pieces are the pieces that society tends to leave behind. But I say no more. Like, no more of suppressing rebellion energy. No more suppressing, claiming you're sexy for yourself and expressing that and however that feels delicious in your body. And no more only talking about spirituality in safe spirituality contexts or circles. It's like, no, we have evolved way beyond that we can claim it all now. So that's what I'm going to do. So this piece today, this art piece, was a cracking open. It was a portal through which I chose to walk through and to allow, pieces and things to continue to come to me, to call me out, to show me what is missing and where I need to continue to expand and stretch and move forward. And I'm really excited to see where this energy is going. So I hope that this frequency really hits you and calibrates you into this new up leveling, and allowing, if this calls you out, amazing, but allowing anything in your field to vibrate out that might be holding you back from this, or if not vibrate out, rise up to the surface enough that you can gently look at it and gently have awareness around, okay, maybe this is something that my soul is calling to me to start looking at, and I can start working on. Because if you're in this space, there's a reason why we connected, and there's a reason why these energies want to start be awakening within you, because you have big work to do in this world. And I'm so excited to see what unfolds. I'm sending you so much love, and I'll talk to you soon. If you're not in there yet and you want to get into the private Telegram space where all of these audios drop every day, as well as all the art, the conversation, and the behind the scenes, go to www.andrealeemathies.com/private podcast. You can also follow me on Instagram at Andrea Lee Matthies, and you can find more about me and all of my work at andrealeemathies.com. I'll see you in the next transmission.